Now, where might you be at 5:20 on a Sunday morning? Perhaps in bed, or maybe just getting in if you're that kind of adventurous type. Or if, like me, you're at the airport getting ready for another journey. Welcome to Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there. Our destination for this season can trace its earliest origins to the 7th century, but its modern-day incarnation dates back barely 30 years. Getting there wasn't without its struggles, but today it's a major tourist destination. So join us as we head for the Queen of the Adriatic, Dubrovnik in Croatia. Now, getting to Dubrovnik couldn't be easier. There are flights from almost every regional airport around the UK, although they do tend to be seasonal during the summer months. But it does mean lots of flexibility. And if you've got a bit of flexibility about the way that you travel, you can get some really good deals, perhaps by booking a flight one way from one airport and returning to another one not too far away. For this trip, I've chosen a straightforward return trip from East Midlands. This is during the half-term in October, so it has turned out to be a bit pricey, about £350. Flight times are around 3 hours, and Croatia is 1 hour ahead of UK time. Now, when you get to the airport, you could take a cab into town. It's going to cost you about €40, or you can have the melodic sound of the shuttle bus. €15 for a round trip. It'll take you straight from the airport to the old town and the city of Dubrovnik itself. It's got aircon too, lovely. You can buy tickets for the bus online or at the airport itself. The bus is really easy to find. Just turn right out of the main doors and avoid the taxis to the left. Now, if you're staying in the old town of Dubrovnik, the great thing is that it's completely pedestrianised. There are no vehicles here. The downside of this, of course, is if you're arriving by bus from the airport, which will drop you off at one of two places, either the Pile Gate or the Ploče Gate. From there, you're going to have to walk. And with a suitcase in the middle of a busy Sunday lunchtime, it can be tricky navigating, particularly if you get stuck behind one of the many of guided walks, probably doing something connected to Game of Thrones. It's pretty tricky navigating with a case, but never mind. No hurry. Now, there are lots of accommodation options around Dubrovnik, but if you're staying in the old town, you may find it tricky to find a hotel because there are, in fact, only a couple. This is a World Heritage Site, which means most of the accommodations are in places like this. Little apartments, a studio apartment here, which contains everything you need really. There's a kitchen with a double hob, there's a microwave, a kettle, a fridge, a great big double bed which is nice and firm. That's going to give me a good night's sleep, and a very modern shower room. Now, a lot of the accommodations are off the main street, the Straden, so you won't have very far to travel, but do bear in mind that some of them are up some fairly steep steps. So a good tip of mine is to go off the Straden, leave a friend with your suitcase and find out how many steps it is up to the actual apartments where you are before you drag your bags all the way up. Now, being apartments, you will need to arrange a meeting time with the owners or the hosts. This is done through the normal booking sites. They'll give you a phone number. And again, my tip is to maybe give them a call or send them a text about 10 minutes before your arrival to ensure that your host is here to meet you. Gaspard was here to greet me here at the apartment Giron. And he was very helpful indeed, pointing out all the local sites, telling me everything to do, and telling me exactly how everything in the apartment worked, which is really a nice touch. You're listening to Travelcaster, coming to you today from Dubrovnik in Croatia. To find out how we got here and what to do when you come, check out travelcaster.blog and subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. It doesn't matter what your reason is for visiting Dubrovnik, you will start or end here at the Straden in the Old Town. It's the main straight street going from gate to gate, and it's covered with this beautiful shimmering marble cobblestones. After a shower of rain it can get quite slippery, but even during the day it shimmers and glistens, and at night time makes some really good photos. And at one end of the Straden, the thing that will strike you is the clock tower. The Dubrovnik clock tower at Luza Square measures 31 metres in height and bongs like that. Originally constructed in 1444, it's not had the best of times over the years, suffering extensive damage in not one but two major earthquakes. In fact, the tower was completely demolished in 1929, rebuilt, and then eventually restored in the 1980s. And yeah, you can go up it. As you stroll past the Straden and towards the harbour, you may be met with the sound of music at one of the posh restaurants around the waterfront. Actually, it's not that posh. This Italian joint will set you back about €25 for a main course. Not bad, considering the live music and the view. And indeed, it's a really good view, because here is the boat that goes out to Lokrum, the island, the main island off the coast here. But that's not the only boat that goes from here. In fact, all along this little harbour, there are multiple people flogging tickets for trips galore. We'll maybe get to experience a couple of them a bit later in this season. You know, one thing you really notice sitting here in the harbour is just how mountainous the surrounding region is in Dubrovnik. In fact, as we came down from the airport, the bus was hugging the sides of the coast like there was no tomorrow. It really demonstrates the strategic importance of Dubrovnik. This port has been fought for over many centuries, and it's easy to see why. It's such a crucial place for bringing trade in and out, and today, mainly tourists. One of the things I love about Dubrovnik is that everything is kind of hidden. You have to go through walls and paths and steps to get everywhere. And here, on the edge of the old town, is Buza Bar, spelt B-U-Z-A, not B-O-O-Z-E-R. But this afternoon it's closed. It's all locked up. That hasn't stopped, though, a few people braving the elements and jumping into the sea at the nearby rocky Buza beach. In fact, that's the thing about beaches around here. They're not golden, sandy, wide open spaces. They're little rocky outcrops where people go to swim and jump off cliffs, like that man down there. Braver than me. Among these ancient walls teeming with tourists are signs of everyday life. Seen a lot of cats wandering about and washing hanging from windows. Just demonstrating the old town is in fact a residential area for a lot of people, although many of them move out during the season to let out their places to tourists. That's how they make the money. It's only been one afternoon, but it's been a busy introduction to what Dubrovnik has to offer, and there is so much more to see, as we shall find out. Don't forget, if you'd like to see where we've gone and what you can do if you come here, go to travelcaster.blog. Subscribe wherever you're listening, and join us soon for another edition of Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there.